All right, everyone. Hi, my name is Annie Paige. I am a PhD candidate in the English department at TU. I also teach writing program courses for TU undergraduate students. I am currently working to finish up my dissertation, which is on modernist parties and social gatherings, something that I know I'm missing dearly right now. So today I'm going to read a selection of poetry by Gertrude Stein. Stein was a modernist writer who spent the majority of her adult life living in Paris with her partner Alice B. Toklas. And she is often remembered as sort of a social chair for the Parisian artistic and literary community. She held regular salons in her apartment where the likes of Ernest Hemingway, Pablo Picasso, and F. Scott Fitzgerald gathered. I'm going to read from Stein's 1914 collection, which is titled Tender Buttons. And this is sort of a bizarre, kind of odd work, definitely experimental, and it falls somewhere almost between prose and poetry. She organizes this experimental work around three themes: objects, rooms, and food. In this collection, Stein uses language in really rather odd ways, often repeating words and phrases, seemingly jumbling familiar words in unfamiliar ways, and sometimes speaking just what seem to be untruths, such as that quote, "white and red are black." She uses language in such a way to encourage her reader to reimagine mundane household fixtures, and often uses ordinary objects to make her reader think about the nature of language itself. So Tender Buttons was inspired by Cubism, and Stein wished to do to words what Cubist artists had done to visuals. So Cubists, like Picasso, reimagined visual art by painting an object from a variety of perspectives, often resulting in a sort of abstract, fragmented image. Stein hoped to use a similar technique on language itself. So, for example, poetry scholar Marjorie Perloff writes that, quote, "Stein does not give us an image, however fractured, of a craft on a table. Rather, she forces us to reconsider how language itself actually constructs the world we know." Stein's meditation on everyday objects feels particularly prescient right now, as we are all stuck in our rooms, staring at our objects, and if you're like me, making regular visits to our refrigerators for more food. So I'm going to read from a section where Stein ruminates on clothes, a long dress, a red hat, and a blue coat. And I've chosen to read from this section because I miss my clothes, and I like to think my clothes miss me. And whenever I need a little pick-me-up in this sort of quarantine life, I like to change out of the athleisure and leggings that I'm wearing right now, put on a cute outfit, and feel a bit more kind of connected to the daily happiness, the daily joy, the daily beauty that's still offered and available to us. Okay, so this is from Tender Buttons by Gertrude Stein. A long dress. What is the current that makes machinery, that makes it crackle? What is the current that presents a long line and a necessary waste? What is this current? What is the wind? What is it? Where is the serene length? It is there, and a dark place is not a dark place. Only a white and red are black. Only a yellow and green are blue. A pink is scarlet. A bow is every color. A line distinguishes it. A line just distinguishes it. A red hat. A dark gray. A very dark gray. A quite dark gray is monstrous ordinarily. It is so monstrous because there's no red in it. If red isn't everything, it is not necessary. Is that not an argument for any use of it? And even so, is there any place that is better? Is there any place that is so much stretched out? A blue coat. The blue coat is guided away. Guided and guided away. That is the particular color that is used for that length, and not any width, not even more than a shadow. So reading this aloud provides a sort of soothing rhythm, right? It's enjoyable kind of just to listen to. But I do want to briefly provide some thoughts on a long dress in particular. Okay, that first little section that I read. And here I want to focus in on the word current and the two ways that Stein is using and playing with this word. So in this section, Stein initially seems to be describing the process of making clothes, right? She writes about the current that makes machinery, that makes it crackle, the current that presents the long line and the necessary waste, right? So the current that maybe makes these clothes. These words spark images of a factory, right? One can almost envision the whir of machinery producing these dresses in bulk. The factory itself is a particularly modern locale, right? In 1914, the production of clothing was changing. What used to be a handmade item, right? A handmade long dress made either at home or by a tailor or by a seamstress, carefully, stitch by stitch, can now be manufactured ready to wear and en masse by this electrical current of machinery. And so it's difficult to escape these sort of reaches of industrialization and the changes brought by modernity, right? They're even coming and reaching into our closet and affecting the very clothes that we wear. And then her use of the word current also makes one think of current in the sense of, right, up to date, fashionable, in season, fresh, stylish, right? These terms that many fashionistas are often thinking about. And here, right, she's speaking also to the power of parts of clothing. She calls clothing, she says that clothing has a necessary waist. It has a serene length, and it has a line, right, that distinguishes it. And so here she's paying sort of newfound attention to something that's easy to overlook, right? The beauty of an object of clothing, the way that it hangs. And she's reminding her readers that even these seemingly insignificant objects are in fact necessary and serene. And looking at a dress from this vantage point of what is current and what is fashionable, once again sort of rushes this normal object, a dress, into modernity, right? Reminding us that we are all sort of part of time's marching forward, even as we are wanting to be current. I love this poem because I think Stein is able to connect something that is so easy to look over, a dress, to a much larger conversation about industrialization and modernity. And ultimately, her poetry encourages us to think more deeply about the words that we use, the objects that are around us. And ultimately, I think to seek the beauty all around us. I know during this bizarre time, I've been doing a lot of that, a lot of seeking out beauty however I can. I've been doing a lot of nesting, making my house look pretty and pleasing. I've been taking walks, enjoying the weather, and seeing my clothes as fun and sort of joy-giving. And so I hope that Stein's work encourages us all to see what is necessary and serene about our everyday and seemingly mundane surroundings. Thank you.
Hello, this is Senior English and Creative Writing major Brennan Gray. I'm here for the coffee house that we're hosting together. Thank you so much for inviting me. I can't wait to show you what I have to share. I'm reading a poem that I wrote myself during quarantine. I wasn't quite sure what to read, and I figured since a poem that we wrote ourselves was an option, I thought it'd be fun to share what I've been thinking lately. And so, without further ado, here is in 97 and 98, and it's by Brennan Gray. In 97 and 98, a proud ship careened into the horizon to be sunk, and we were born to be lost at sea. We wish we had memories older than 9/11, far, far away from the dark and the dim. We lost our houses in a thunderous crash. We came of age to a drunken captain, and in our triumphant year, the storm came in April, as all rains do. The rats ate each other, pouring up from the sewers. Our cabins were filled, but our halls were empty. The helm was abandoned, and we said goodbye through glass. We float now, eating from cans, mourning the drowned and the brave. A bearded man turned to me and said, "They shall not grow old." Soon, all we know will rest on fallen sand, and we will drift to the coast asleep. We will awake to build the world. On that morning, we will sing. So, it's called 97 and 98 because a lot of us graduating this year, 2020, were born in those 2 years, 97 and 98. And a lot of the early parts of the poem go through a lot of things that our generation would be familiar with. Scientifically, your first memories are 3.5 to 4 years old, which is right smack on 9/11. Those are my earliest memories. I mean, I can't remember too much before that. Um, I mentioned the housing crash in the mid 2000s. Drunken Captain. If you're born in 97, 98, not only is this your graduation year for a lot of us, but also the first election you could vote in was Donald Trump's election in 2016, which is a very, very interesting first time electing someone. And then, of course, it gets into what we're going through right now, our triumphant year when we graduate college and get to be adults, and man, this is how it happens, huh? And that's what this poem is sort of speaking to. The rats eating each other in New York because there's not enough food scraps, and the cabins being filled because everyone's home. The halls, the streets, everything is empty. Very poetic, I thought. And so when this is over, I guess we'll be, floating aimlessly, trying to get it on our feet. We've got to find jobs, we've got to find our place in the world, and a hard time to do that. And the other day I was reading some World War One poetry from a book of World War One poetry I got from a dear friend of mine, a fellow English student. And a poem called For the Fallen came up and had a line that said, "They shall not grow old." And it spoke to me. Of course, it's referring to the really young people in World War One who died, and that they will never grow old. I am older than a lot of them were now. And it also spoke to me now that, especially a disease that is killing a lot of elderly people, and I have a sick uncle right now who might pass away any day now, and I was thinking, what's the best vengeance against such a thing? And I thought real poetic justice would be not letting people get old in the first place, and to remember them. And it was just a fun little illusion I could throw in there. And as it goes on, it ends as a sort of call to action in resting on fallen sand. Obviously when a ship sinks, it hits the ground, and I always picture the bottom of the ocean be filled with sand, but it's also hourglass sand, and when enough sand has fallen, we can rest on it, and the wounds heal, and it's time to life goes on, and it's started to build anew. And it's a call to people my age that let this not be the future that we leave to our children. let's do better. The metaphor of a ship was interesting. I actually was trying to figure out what would be a good metaphor for this whole thing, and I was trying to find we're all from 97, 98 what was going on then. Michael Jordan is one thing, and I was trying to find something that would speak a little bit better, and it was interesting because at the end of 97 and into the beginning of 98, right in the middle where those 2 years met, the movie Titanic was huge, and it was fascinating to me that our generation was born during a cultural phenomenon of a sinking ship. So it just kind of felt metaphorical and prophetic, kind of telling for one on a sinking ship captained by the drunken captain. It really spoke. So that's the poem, and that's how I've been feeling. I'd love to hear how everyone else is feeling. Thank you so much for including me in this. I hope you enjoyed the poem. I'll keep working on it. I'll keep writing more poems. But for now, have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I'm recording this at 1:40 in the morning because that's when college students do everything. And you all mean very much to me, just so much to me. And everyone stay safe out there. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Cheyenne Green, and I am a senior English major at the University of Tulsa. Or at least I will be for the next week, which is so crazy. Like, when did that happen? Furthermore, how did you all let that happen? Anyways, I'm going to be reading a poem that I wrote last year called I've Never Really Met Someone. So here goes. I've never really met someone. A phone call, a quick and anticipated glance towards an open pocket, hope for an ear-to-ear shining, the purest, most concentrated stuff. Like warm bread in an itchy cloth napkin resting in a tin basket that hits your table just as you've convinced yourself you're going to starve. Unique just means alone. 2 lives to give to a wishful protagonist. someone to sweep the ism away, sweep the floor, sweep off your feet. Incoming ignited, intellectual, integrated, international immigrant wakes up with me. Brain length 1000. Where is? Who slept? Go next. Up east. Azerbaijan. Guard's sister. Mothering mother. Pulling at my memories. A crooked tooth staring at Catherine Keener. Sings in the shower. Back nape. 5/8 a shiner. Atheist skeptic. Skeptic atheist. Good listener either way. Every man I loved went to bed with Gilda. All's waves with nothing waving, no distance at all. And it's really not appropriate to talk about the light particle. Door number 3, contemplations of murder. Put them on display. The belief in God is the vote. Poker face. Text to make patience. Okie liability. Tonight it's beautiful, but it can't last. So I chose this poem because I wrote it the day after an adventure I had with someone that I don't get to see as much as I'd like to. We had spent a lot of time together in a very short time frame, and I just really enjoyed it. We had the best time. And right now, as a society, we aren't meeting people, we aren't spending time together, so it's nice to harken back to and sustain ourselves with the memories of good times while we all get through this together. I hope you're well and washing your hands and hugging your kids and kissing your parents from a distance if you have to. I'm quarantined with mine and it's been wonderful. Hope to see you all soon. Bye.
Hello, my name is Nathan Blue. I am a senior English major here at TU. I'm honored to be a part of Corona Coffeehouse. I'm going to read a poem that I wrote, tentatively titled Combinations. Kind of wrote it about the stifling of motion while time keeps going in the same way, and time does that. But it's about how my perspective or outlook on the passage of time has changed a little bit because my motion has been limited. Sure, I can go for a walk, but the stability of measuring time by motion is kind of gone. Measuring time by going to and from class or to and from work or something like that has definitely changed. And I wanted to capture some of that change in this poem here. Like I said, tentatively titled Combinations. That's pretty short. I'll just get started. I inhale and smelled innumerable combinations of fried vegetables, mutilated legs of bulls, then the aggregate toxins of garbage bins intermingled. I sheltered in a bubble, blind to the glowing underpass. My lungs laundered impressions, and incessantly were reminded the ridicule of history lost to yielding. And in the early morning, papers stuffed haphazardly led a launch toward usury, between cotton pockets, all-consuming. All right, that's it. Thanks for listening. Happy Poetry Month. Stay safe, be well.